Welcome to the I Am the Worst Parent Ever podcast with Nicole Merritt and Dr. Robert Zeitlin.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Robert.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
Good. So we were talking in the last episode about, living through our kids or actually thinking more about our kids than ourselves or self-care. And so I was thinking, you know how we ended that last episode with that exercise, brag, desire, gratitude?
Yeah.
It made me think that maybe we're not doing this for ourselves, like actually bragging about ourselves or actually sharing a desire, which is actually a little uncomfortable. Like, what do you really want, or what are you grateful for? So how about we try that again, and then we talk a little about self-care, like how can you take care of yourself when you're chasing three little munchkins and trying to keep a blog going and doing all this stuff too?
Yeah, and how to ditch the guilt, which is quite the struggle. I mean, when we did that exercise in the last episode, in my head I felt like I should have done it, like that you were, the whole point of the exercise is to talk about, yourself. And I kind of purposely didn't. I get uncomfortable when I have to voice, I don't know, brags about myself or put yourself out there with your full truths. But I guess, it's almost like you have to say it out loud to have it be realized.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Like, I think both you have to say it out loud to have it be realized, and also if I don't say it, like for me, it's both. If I don't say it, I don't have to share it with the world. And also, if I do say it, now it might happen, and that also freaks me out a little bit.
Right. All right, well, let's try it, and we'll see how uncomfortable we can make ourselves.
Okay, sounds good. So how about we do all three? Well, we'll go back and forth. Let's do it again. So I'll start, give you a second to gather up your courage.
Appreciate that.
Brag. Something I can brag about. I feel like I was able to get some work done yesterday that I needed to get done, even though I was exhausted by the end of the day. I felt really good that I had finished a report at work. I had set up our episode to launch this morning. I had scored a testing that I did. And by the end of the day, I was able to put that all down and sleep well that I had gotten some stuff done that I really needed to get done.
That's great. Now, question with you, with the mindfulness that you do, like, is that something you do daily? Like, whether it's just in your own head or before you go to bed or when you have your quiet time or you meditate, do you think about what you've done and give that recognition?
Oh, I thought you were asking something else. So first of all, the kind of meditation I do is actually not kind of mindfulness. It's actually more just like, it's more restful.
Okay.
So I meditate twice a day. And when I meditate, I'm not thinking about that stuff.
Okay.
So in answer to your question, I don't give myself enough credit. I don't sit down and check off, like we said in the last episode, the 80% of my list that I got done. Like most people, I sit there and I grind about the 20% that I didn't get done.
Right. So maybe for you, that's what's something you can add. You meditate for 20 minutes, but then you take another 5 or 10 to recognize, in the first half of the day, here's what's happened. And then by the evening, here's what's happened.
That's a great idea.
Let's see. I guess my brag is just, I'm proud of how far I've come. I started the blog in March of 2017. And just when I think about the places I've been published by, when I think about us starting this venture, when I think about the comments that I get on the blog, whether it's a comment, on social media or an actual comment to my email, just about how people are loving what I'm writing and I'm so real and relatable and this is it just makes me feel good and proud of myself that somehow with, the brief time that I have, I'm still able to get stuff done. So I'm proud of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I have no idea how you do all that. I don't, like, I met you in the middle of that blog, this venture, your venture before we launched this. And I still don't know how you do it.
I don't know either. And I think that's, I'm proud of myself if I can do a second one for kind of like accepting that yes, there is a lot of thought that goes into it. There's some organization, there is, a set how things go, but I'm kind of just winging a lot of it too. And I think that you have to do that. I think that's a good life lesson, to just wing it and go with the curves, and you're going to have up days and you're going to have down days. And you just ride the ride.
Awesome. Okay. So that was brag, now desire. Something I want in the future. I want to, in the future, look back at a year of doing this podcast and think about how much we've grown in figuring all this stuff out, and also grown a tribe and responded to people. I desire for the future, a first year or an anniversary episode of this podcast where we're celebrating a lot of successes and a lot of things that we learned.
I would love that. I agree with you that's something that I definitely desire too. I won't completely piggyback it because that's not fair, since you already took it. And
it would be hiding.
Yeah. Another thing that I would like is to write a book. Even if it's taking the blogs that I have on my blog now and putting it into a book. I've told my mom and my mother-in-law this before, and even my husband, and they all think it's a great idea. If for nothing else, then I can give it to my kids, and say, this was what life was like when you were young, and here's the snippets of those moments in our lives and what was going on in mommy's head. Like, I think that's just an awesome, even if it's just like only my family has the book and buys the book and has it, I want to, eventually I'm going to do that. And I want to do that.
That's amazing. That would be an incredible communication and connection. My friend, my brother from another mother, Nate Turner, wrote letters to his son growing up. It was a way of actually them communicating, but also a way for him to, it was actually about learning to read and write. And so connecting over letters, and then he published them together in a book, and it's an amazing example of raising a kid consciously, but also it was a point of connection for them. And I think it could be the same for you. I think that's awesome. Right.
And I unintentionally write a lot of like, dear daughter, dear son, it's not, I honestly don't plan them out. Ideas come to me and I text myself and then I sit down and write it later. But it's just the moment that I guess I'm in right now, and the stage that we're in is just, there's a lot that I want to say that maybe I don't have time to say, or I don't get the one-on-one with that person. Mm-hmm. So I like to write it down.
Yeah, you're one of 3 people that I read that do that so beautifully and emotionally. Nate is another, and then Don Jackson is another, who actually started his blog with the intention of leaving a legacy and writing to his son. And man, there's nothing more powerful. It's just, cool. It's incredible. And your posts to your kids are really, really, really powerful and inspiring. They inspire me as a writer.
No, thank you so much.
Sure.
All right. So what's our last one?
Brag, desire, gratitude, something we're grateful for right now. So I am grateful to be healthy and in good shape, and I actually play ultimate frisbee. I don't know if we've talked about that. I've played since college, and actually looking forward in a couple weeks to starting another summer league. I played in the summer league for a long time. This is actually going to be this might be my 29th summer in the summer league. And I've done it so long, and I'm healthy and grateful that my kids actually like playing too. And so I get to play with my daughter for the second summer in a row in this more competitive summer league. And I'm really grateful that I've taken care of myself, and my body is still able to do that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. I played soccer since I was 5 up until I went to college, and I went to college to play. And then I was like, I don't want to be waking up at 5 a.m. to go run. Like, I'm in college. So I stopped playing. But I very much would love at some point, I know when I have more time, it's the worst excuse in the world, to join like an adult soccer league, because my husband, he played soccer too.
Oh,
and
yeah?
that would be so fun. You know, our kids come with the grandparents to watch mommy and daddy play or whatever. So at some point, maybe I'll give that, it's in my 5-year plan. I want to get out there. It'll be good for me. I don't get nearly as much exercise as I want or should.
Yeah, I know a couple moms who continue to play soccer, and I work with someone, not a mom, but she plays in adult soccer leagues year round, and she loves it. I used to love soccer. That was my sport growing up, but
yes.
it changed to ultimate right in college. When you gave up soccer, I gave up soccer, but I picked up ultimate, and then everything. It's so funny. We traveled really parallel paths. You made it further than I did in law school. I only made it to the LSAT, and then I got turned away because my LSAT result was actually really bad. It told me that I shouldn't be going to law school. But soccer is so much fun. One idea, something that we did a couple Thanksgivings ago, was to take the whole family out. This included young and old, and just a ramshackle bunch of people. And we took one of those exercise balls, like a yoga ball, and we played yoga ball soccer with it. And for little kids or big kids, like, it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
To be like bouncing around this ridiculously large size ball and like kicking it up into space, and then like, just trying to push it around. It was so much fun.
That sounds neat. I'm going to have to try that with my kids for sure.
I think they'll be into it, unless they get smushed by it. But like, if they're big enough, I think it could be a lot of fun. And obviously it's a sport you and your husband both love, so it'd be fun.
Yes. And with regard to the LSAT score, mine was not that high. It like barely hit the, marker for acceptance. So either I was super persuasive in my writing, or they just needed, a blonde that went to school from Boston, and I fit the bill at the time. Whatever it was not my score.
One superpower we've said that we both share is persistence. But back then, my persistence for that was not there. And clearly yours was already firing high. So you're going to be persistent and get all the way into law school. I turned around. I had other plans, and I found that superpower persistence later in life. That wasn't there at that point.
At least when you dropped out of soccer, you picked up another sport. I think I picked up partying. So, we each got our own little win-wins.
Well, some people think ultimate is just partying too, but the kind of ultimate that I played has been pretty athletic. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. So to jump back to my gratefulness, I would say that I am grateful for my husband, which I know, again, these things that I say sound cliche, but I genuinely mean it. To have somebody who is so supportive of your dream and your goal, it's not common. Like, sometimes, you'll have somebody that's not happy about that. They don't want you spending your time doing that. He built my site for me. I do the writing, but the way my site looks, that was my husband's labor of love that he did for me. And to have a partner that just believes in you and your dream, and will do what he can when he can to help make that a reality, that's something that I'm forever going to be grateful to him for. That's
awesome. Your site's great. I mean, I think he should be very proud. He did a great job on your website. Not to mention what a lovely shout out.
Wow. Well, he knows I love him.
We're getting around to it. A few episodes into this podcast, we're giving some shout outs to my friend Nate, to Don, to your husband.
Yes.
And whoever invented yoga ball soccer, because it's a lot of fun.
Right. Would you say that us doing like this kind of exercise, is this a simple form of self-care that we're engaging in. Like, I almost feel like I've told you before that, like, my conversations with you, I kind of like, I leave them and I feel like I have a good day. Like, you know, like I got to, I don't know, have real conversations that just made me feel good. So even us doing that exercise, is that a form of self-care that, you know, the women that don't have time for self-care should partake in?
Yeah, no, I think it definitely is. And every time I say I'm a positive psychologist, I think it gets confused, because I think people think about, you know, like pushing away negative feelings or kind of smile therapy or some kind of fake kind of behavior, or like fake it till you make it kind of thing, which sometimes works, but like that's not what I'm in. But what you're talking about and what we did in that exercise, it doesn't just like give you some like short moment of joy. Actually, it kind of adds to your life. And so there's this difference between things that you do that like make you happier because they give you pleasure, like a glass of wine or chocolate or a break or, you know, a movie, or, you know, but they don't add any kind of lasting value to your life. But what we just did actually adds to that pile of things that make your life a little better. You know, next time you see your husband after having this conversation, next time anyone sees your husband after you've said this on tape, you know, it's like, that adds value. You know, you've invested more in your relationship just by saying that. And so, yeah, I think these kind of exercises, you invest in yourself and you invest in your long-term happiness, even if it's not like, this makes me happy right now, like chocolate would. You know, this is a long-term gain for you. It adds value. It up-levels your spirit and your happiness. And yeah.
Right. I love how you put that. I guess I always associated self-care with like, oh, okay, I'll take some time to go get my nails done, or, you know, I'll get a massage to relax me, or I'll go have wine with a girlfriend or whatever. And I like the idea of you saying that self-care is so much more than that, and it's something that's more sustainable. It's not a 40-minute pedicure. It's not a Snickers bar at the end of the day. Granted, I think you deserve those. I think you deserve the pedicure. I think you deserve the Snickers bar. But for long-term self-preservation, I think that I, and probably many women, need to find what that is for us. You know, for me, I used to love reading books. I would never lose myself, since I became a parent, I would never lose myself in a fiction book. I find myself only reading the parenting books and the self-help books, because that's what I need and should be doing, right, is bettering myself as a parent. But, you know, taking that time, like my husband, before he goes to bed, he reads a chapter or two of a book that he's into, and it just takes you to another place. And finding things like that on an everyday and long-term level can help bring you some balance.
Yeah, I think there may be three pots now that I think about it. There's sort of the checking out, sort of, you know, sleep, relax, you know, for me kind of pot. There's the sort of not necessarily giving you a lot of happiness in the moment, but adding to your life. And then in between is sort of the restfulness, replenishing kind of things, like your husband getting lost in a chapter before he goes to bed, or anything that we do that we get lost in, whether it's a hobby or something that, even something as especially creative things where you actually kind of reach that zone, what people call a flow state. Like that's adding value to your life. That may just be in the moment. You know, you write a great blog post later today and that goes out and it inspires a couple of people, but it also kind of adds a chip, you know, it raises your level a little bit. And I think those flow states are really hard to get to when you have three munchkins running around and your attention is necessarily divided. I think it's one of the hardest things we do to parents is we kind of limit their opportunity to get into any kind of steady work, creative work or otherwise, that allows them to get that flow state.
Right. Like even after we finish up and I go pick up my two younger ones, like I really should, the way the morning has gone and the state of the house and the amount of laundry that needs to be done, I really should come home after school. and I should tackle some of this stuff, right? So it's not sitting here staring me in the face tonight. At the same time, I know taking them to go to the park or a play place is going to make their day. And when I think about what's going to bring me more joy, I know if I come home and then they might be bored because mommy is not giving them their full attention because she's doing the laundry, or she's doing the cleaning, or go let them, run around and have a blast. So I think today I'm going to choose to take them out and do something. And I almost feel like that's self-care for me and self-care for them, because I think I would feel bad today if I didn't bring them some joy by doing something like that. And I think that'll change on a day-to-day basis. I think one day self-care might be me coming home and getting rid of the mess. But it's recognizing that that can change.
Yeah, that can change. And sometimes we get into like a black and white thinking where it can either be this or it can be that. And sometimes we can split it. Sometimes we do that too much. Like we split it up to the point where it's not even worth, the five minutes I scheduled to like get the house organized is going to move it forward at all.
Right.
But yeah, I love that the fact that it's not only going to add life points to your kids' days, but it's also going to make you feel better about like yourself and how you're doing as a mom and how everything's going, because it's all part of the big picture. Like the house will get organized at some point, right?
Right. I mean, and I think that's the whole point of this conversation and the exercise that we started with, is that self-care is not one thing. It's a combination of many things, and it's something that you have to actively seek out and make happen for yourself. And like we said, it comes in many forms. Self-care can be caring for somebody else, seeing that smile when my kid's running to that bouncy slide or running to that swing. It gives me a little boost. And if that's not self-care, then I don't know what is.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Nicole. This was great.
Thank you, Robert. Talk soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the I Am the Worst Parent Ever podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss an episode.